I'm Pr Karen Boda, Assistant to the Bishop for Congregational Life, and I bring you greetings from Bishop Kevin Strickland and the entire Synod staff on this first Sunday in Lent. It's hard to believe some days, but my grandmother died over 40 years ago. And I have some things of hers that I really cherish. And one of the most precious things that I have of hers is this lamp. It used to sit in the entry hall of her home, and I remember it dearly. It's very precious to me, and it now sits in our entry hall. I'm going to share a secret with you, though. This lamp is actually broken, and it's been broken for decades. Perhaps at some point my family should have considered getting it fixed, hiring someone to fix the lamp, perhaps even someone skilled in the art of kintsugi, which is a Japanese practice that dates all the way back to the 15th century. Kintsugi artists take ceramics, broken ceramics, and they restore the article to full function and full wholeness. I have fixed some things in the past, and my measure of success has been whether or not I can see the original damage. If the bowl looks like it's never been broken, or if it doesn't leak water, then my fix was successful. I've also been known sometimes to take the breaks, and to turn them so that they face the wall, hiding the break. This is not at all what kintsugi artists are trying to do. They don't mask the fractures. The break is not something to be disguised or hidden. Instead, kintsugi artists repair the fractures with a lacquer that is mixed with a precious metal, silver, gold, or platinum. And the fix creates the look of a vein which travels across the piece. It's sometimes called a golden repair. The fix will actually highlight the breakage and turn it into something that is stunningly beautiful. There's a wonderful article in the February 2021 magazine Sojourners about the artist Makoto Fujimura. He's a student of kintsugi. Fujimura claims that by not hiding the breakage, the history of the traumatic destruction, and also the sublime redemption that has occurred, is retained in the piece. Even though broken, the piece is returned to full function and wholeness and beauty. The piece is not the same, and it never will be the same, but it is functional, it is whole, it is beautiful, and it is redeemed. Our gospel text from Mark today is right at the beginning of Jesus' ministry. It's Jesus' baptism by John in the River Jordan. The church I attend, like so many, has continued to baptize during this pandemic. It's such a spirit-filled and really beautiful moment. The one to be baptized is usually dressed in their finest. The pastor may get a little bit choked up. Parents will often get tears in their eyes. Sponsors may even join in on a FaceTime call. Siblings stand on their tippy toes to peer into the font, their eyes wide open at the mystery of the moment. The baptism of Jesus by John, though, is strikingly different than what we usually experience. Our text reads that Jesus was baptized by John in the Jordan, and just as he was coming out of the water, he saw the heavens torn apart and the Spirit descending like a dove on him. And a voice came from heaven, "You are my Son." First, the heavens are torn apart, ripped apart. The only other time this verb is used in Mark's gospel is at the moment of Jesus' death, when the temple curtain is torn in two from the top to the bottom. Interesting that it's the same verb used at the very beginning of Jesus' ministry, and then again at the end. Torn apart is not a pretty verb. It's not a gentle verb, but it implies damage that is being done. It implies that something is broken, which can never be put back together in exactly the same way. Then the Spirit descended on Jesus. Many argue that the translation should be that the Spirit descended into Jesus. Now all of a sudden we don't have a beautiful little dove landing on Jesus, but the Spirit literally enters into Jesus. Theologian David Jewell claims that this is a possession of Jesus by God. Something has literally gotten into him. Then finally, God proclaims, "You are my son." What an incredibly powerful baptism. The heavens ripped open so that there is no separation between God and us. The Spirit driven into Jesus, leaving no question, none, as to who Jesus is. And God now present with us. I love the way that Jewell claims that this is a God on the loose. This is a God who will not be distant, will not be constrained, but one who has come near to us through Jesus. It seems like we so often want to put God in a box. We define what we want our little box to look like. We define the God we want in our box. We let God out when we want, and we put God back into the box when it's not convenient. In this baptism, though, God is not only let out of the box, we can't put God back into the box. The box has been ripped apart. We can't stitch the heavens back together so that no one can see the tear. We can't turn the tear towards the wall. God is on the loose. Nothing will ever be the same again, and it really shouldn't be. These days, we may feel like our lives have been ripped apart. The pandemic has broken our lifestyles, our families, our health, our jobs. It's ripped apart things that we have loved and cherished. It's brought to light the incredible disparities of our socioeconomic systems and our healthcare. It's highlighted our racism and our political divides. It feels like we have been ripped apart. Dr. Caroline Lewis says that we may even feel like we have been ripped apart from God. Our spaces and places, our rituals, our communities, our music and our worship, our communion, all the ways in which we used to experience God and be with God. It may feel like those are gone, ripped from us. We may feel like we are sitting in the midst of a pile of broken pieces, some so sharp that they cut us open, some so small that they can barely be seen. So much brokenness, we can't begin to put things back together again. Let's face it, none of us have come through this unscathed. None of us will be able to return to what we were, and I'm not sure that we should. Are we trying to put back together that which can't be mended in a way which hides the pain, hides the brokenness? Fujimura says that the process of repairing the dish doesn't begin with the gold, but with the shards. Kintsugi masters sometimes hand down the broken pieces of a cup or a bowl for generations, viewing the broken pieces as beautiful in and of themselves. It can often take decades to even begin the repair. Then the actual repair might take years after that. The resulting piece, never the same, is often stronger and just as beautiful. We too may look at the resulting torn fragments and pieces of our lives during this pandemic, the broken pieces of our communities, our health systems, our racial injustices, our political systems, maybe even our relationship with God, our broken pieces. Maybe we too shouldn't try to hide the damage, rush to fix everything, try to put everything back to normal the way it was. Some things should not return to normal. Fujimura says that the good news comes with scars. The good news of the ripping apart of the heavens is that we will never, ever be separated from God. God is on the loose with us. So maybe this year during Lent, we shouldn't try to fix ourselves with an annual forfeiture of Dunkin' Donuts or chocolate. Maybe we shouldn't try to hide the ugliness of ourselves and our systems overlooking the depth of our brokenness, turning it all towards the wall. Maybe instead we need to embrace the broken parts of ourselves, our society, our pandemic, knowing that God is on the loose and present with us, taking our broken pieces, making us fully functional, fully whole, beautiful, beloved, redeemed. God is on the loose. We will never, ever be the same. That, my friends, is the good news. Amen.